Welcome to Rock Shop Talk. Our show talks best practices, fun anecdotes, and the latest cutting-edge technology in our field to kick your screen printing gears into hyperdrive. Today's episode features automating screen reclamation. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be right back.
Want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop where we talk all things screen printing. Today we are discussing automated screen reclamation, and we are joined by the one and only Mr. Friends Peters of Lotus Holland. I am Rock US President Ross Hunter. We're also joined today with our creative producer, Mr. Merrill Capps, and of course our automated specialist, Mr. Thomas Shaw. How's everyone doing today?
Fantastic. How are you, sir?
Great. I'm great.
Great.
We have
Friends
some
looks like he's in
superheroes.
Disneyland or like Avenger Bill.
Avenger
right
and DC.
I'm here with my two best friends, actually.
That's awesome. Is that mural in your business somewhere, or is that a background?
Yeah, no, that's a mural. We have a graffiti wall in our building with
cool.
with actually on the right side we have Thomas Shaw. And on the left, we have Ross Hunter.
Oh, nice. Thomas gets to be Superman. I like that.
Yeah,
That's
I was
awesome.
working at a lot more when they did that painting.
And wait, who is Spider-Man?
I'm Spider-Man.
It's Ross.
Oh, it's Ross. Okay. All right. Good to know.
So, yeah, I wanted to start the episode just with a quick news update. This is our St. Patty's Day special. Merrill's got some green on. Thomas definitely should get pinched. I have on green Chuck Taylors, so no
I
one
see
can
that.
mess with me.
Wait, since you showed it that way, I have to do the same.
I put on my Irish print.
Look at you.
Oh, perfect.
That's fantastic.
See, there we go.
Check out my socks here.
Oh wow.
Oh.
See?
Ooh, let's Shamrock. It just rock
See?
is spelled wrong. It's
I know.
ROQ, Merrill, not ROCK.
I know. I should talk to somebody in marketing at Rock to get some socks. Dude, Rock.
Just call yourself.
Rock our socks off. Rock their socks
Rock
off.
socks.
We're going to have to make socks
No, that
now.
doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound
No,
good.
that's
Rock
like,
socks.
yeah, you got to add a word in the middle. Rock socks is close to rock socks. If you're in the East Coast,
No,
it's
we gotta
actually
say-
right on point. Rock socks, you know.
No, but rock their socks off. I don't know.
Okay.
There's something
Okay.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the
Well,
bottom line is
sock
I
job.
want socks. I like socks.
Cool.
Go on with your
Let's-
story.
Let's work
That's
on
beautiful.
that. Anyways, St. Patty's Day special. Of course, Merrill, our creative producer, creatively is calling it Shamrock and Roll. So Shamrock and Roll. I love it.
And shame on me if I don't.
And with Shamrock and Roll, we until March 15th are doing free shipping on any Lotus Holland machine that is purchased. So from now until March 15th, take advantage of free shipping. We also have some free startup chemistry that's coming with the machines as well. So kind of like it's a 2-leaf clover. You get two specials. The shipping, no, that doesn't work.
Hey,
Okay.
no, I
I'm
like
seeing
it.
a face from Merrill. I'm gonna let that go.
I'm
But anyway,
holding
till
in
March
my
15th.
laughter.
Okay, March 15th. Come talk to us about a Lotus Hall and take advantage of
That's a big deal.
specials.
Yeah,
It's extra green.
it sure is. Extra green
Yeah.
that saves extra green, that reveals a whole bunch of extra green
Absolutely.
while
There you go.
going green. Lots of green.
Yes. No, we're having fun today.
Yes.
Cool. So hit us up about that. That's our big news. We'll have some new news maybe next episode. I think there might be a little sizzle on the Rock Tour bus going out and doing some things. So excited to tell everyone about that. But let's dive into Lotus Holland. Let's dive into automated screen reclamation. And I want to kick it over to Friends Peters. He is the developer and owner of Lotus Holland. Again, thank you for joining us, and wanted to kind of get some background from you on where Lotus Holland came from. Give us the story. What are the roots? How long have you been around? All that kind of good stuff. So share the story.
Well, going back in time, we are going back in history. About 20 years ago, when I was working in export sales, at some point I helped a friend out in a trade show, and then I got into contact with screen printing, and I was immediately hooked when I saw that. It looks so interesting, and screen printing, to me, it is a real profession. I noticed immediately that a printer has so many variables to influence his product and his quality, and I thought it is very rewarding to be a screen printer. You should be proud of what you can achieve as a screen printer, and that is what grabbed me. But I didn't see myself as with my background, I didn't see myself as a screen printer. I have a background in business administration. I've been in sales all my life, and that was where my interest was more in that direction. And then I looked at that industry and I thought, well, what can we contribute here? And then I don't know how it came, but then I realized that there was a lot of work around that screen going on, which was very labor intensive. Business administration, I'm always looking at cutting costs, right? So I figured that if we can do something about automating that part of the process, then we could really help the screen printer improve.
That's great.
So that's where it started for me.
And
did it start with reclamation? I mean, was that kind of the first? Because I know you've got quite a few products now. So did it start with how do we create a better cleaning process and automate that?
Yeah, I saw that in at that time there were many large format screen printers still, which are in Europe. There you cannot find large format screen printers anymore. It's all digital, roll-to-roll printing. But at that point of time, there was still plenty large format screen printers with very big screens. So handling of those screens was cumbersome, expensive. It was a big mess. You needed big spaces to clean a screen. Let's say, what is that? 7 by 12 foot. You need a big room. And so most of the screen printers at first that were interested in reclaiming were these large format graphic printers. But not long after, other printers also realized, oh, hey, this might be a cost saver. This reclaiming business, more so than in pre-press. In post-press, there was much more to gain than in pre-press. For us, what was the difference is that we had a chemical in hand which was non-volatile, and it was actually built, that chemical, to remove graffiti from walls, like you see on the back here. If you have a graffiti painting like this, you cannot go use aggressive chemicals because it will ruin the wall as well. And also you cannot go in with high pressure for the same reason.
Right.
So we had a chemical that was non-volatile, was way more expensive than the average white spirit products, but much more friendly.
Forgive my ignorance. Did you just happen upon that? Did you manufacture that? The chemical, like a compound, or?
I was in contact with a company that had a request for that and built that product, and then for graffiti wall cleaning, that was a very small niche market. So they were looking for what can we do with this product? Where can we go to? And then the two worlds came together. The point where I was in contact with screen printing and this cleaner, and then we said, well, let's give it a try. And it worked, but because it was not volatile, the existing systems that we know from 20 years ago, they needed a volatile chemical, which they then, under pressure, they create a damp, they disperse it into a damp, and this damp attacks the ink. Well, that doesn't do it for our chemical. Our chemical flushes, or the machine nowadays, at that point it was the chemical, flushes across the screen and dissolves the ink and on its way down.
Gotcha.
So we were at that point, we were actually the first ones building an inline system using a non-volatile chemical.
That's great. So through that evolution, I mean, getting to, obviously long evolution here, you're talking 20 years of, having an idea, and this is maturing through chemistry and then maturing into machinery, et cetera. To give our listeners that don't know much about it, what is the main function of the Lotus Holland Evo Compact specifically? We'll get into some of the other machines that you carry as well, but the Evo Compact Lotus Holland, what's the big benefit that our listeners get out of that machine? I mean, give us the top 3 biggest benefits.
Yeah. The Lotus Evo Compact was built with the textile screen printer in mind. We needed a system that is fully automatic, so it completely cleans the screens. It takes off the ink, it takes off the emulsion, it rinses the screen, it degreases the screen, and it dries the screen with rubber flaps. So the screen comes out moist, but once it is dry, it's ready to be coated again. So that's what every screen printer wanted. But the machines that we had were 50 feet long for these big format printers. Well, that's not going to work for a textile screen printer, right? So, so tailored to the screen size that they have, 23 by 31 or 32 inch, we figured out a standard machine that has the smallest footprint that you will find in the industry that will do the whole job. So the big advantage is it takes out all the labor, but it does the whole process.
Yeah, in the U.S. market, the size and the footprint has been a major thing for us. I mean, many people have small dark rooms. Many people are maybe putting this in a space that is quite small, and so just having a compact unit like the Evo has really allowed us to place that product in the market and in many shops.
Yeah, we actually just filmed the video over at Family Industries, and their Lotus is in their darkroom. I mean, that kind of shows the footprint, right? You can have this piece of equipment in a darkroom. I mean, clearly you want to get the dimensions first before you quote me on your specific darkroom, as it may be a little small, but it fits, and the price is right, and it does every single thing that Friends just described. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a beautiful video for Family Industries. I saw that with Danny presenting it. Was very impressive.
It did a great job.
Yeah.
More to come too. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of great marketing this year, and that's kind of what the tour bus. Little sneak peek on what the tour bus is going to be about. We're actually going out to see a whole bunch of different partners and do a ton of filming all across the country. So it's going to be really exciting. So, so you've got the Lotus Holland Evo Compact. You also have the Luminator, and you've got a developer. Do you want to just quickly describe what those other 2 machines do?
Yeah, that is a very interesting development. We actually have a patent on that machine, the Luminator. It consists of 2 parts in line, a UV LED exposure unit in line with a washout unit. So the washout unit is also available standalone as a developer, but it's also in line. And that combination for Luminator is a perfect match to a CTS system like a Dalvid or an Exal Spider. As long as you have CTS, because UV LED, our Luminator cannot handle. It doesn't have a vacuum, so it cannot handle film. It's specifically for CTS.
That's awesome. So basically, that's the automation of pre-press end. So you've got post-press automation with your Evo Compact. You have pre-press automation in conjunction with a CTS machine to go straight off of the CTS, put the screen on a conveyor belt, and forget about it. Come out on the other side, and you've got a burned, washed out image.
Absolutely, and you see the rise in interest in that field, because under pressure of digital printing, shorter production runs, more screens to burn for a print shop, a screen print shop, it becomes more and more important to save cost and time in pre-press as well. So we are seeing a big rise in pre-press automation. Yes.
We've seen a lot of that too, I think, through COVID. I think it's really made people look at, how large their, staff is. Obviously, we all know as business owners, the most expensive part of business is people. And so, I think a lot of businesses are looking to solve automation, less people or same amount of people, but having them spend less time on cleaning and rinsing and more time on, making them money through actual production. Because it's, this is the one place where printers don't charge, right? They're not charging their customers for cleaning screens on an invoice. They're not charging their customers typically for burning screens, even on an invoice. Some people charge screen fees, but I think that's kind of a thing of the past, in today's screen printing era. So really, really cool stuff. We're going to take a moment, take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will talk more automation and reclamation pre and post press with Lotus Holland. We'll be right back.
The Lotus Holland automatic screen reclaim system. Your screens are completely and reliably clean for reuse again and again. To find out more ways this Product of the Year award winner can help you reclaim far more than your used screens, please visit rock.us or call 187-ROCKET now. That's 877-674-8669. And now with free shipping till March 15th.
I want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop where we talk all things screen printing. Today we are discussing automating your screen reclamation process, and we are joined by Mr. Friends Peters of Lotus Holland.
Hello.
Hey, as well as our creative producer, Mr. Merrill Caps, and our automated specialist, Mr. Thomas Shaw. And of course, I am Rock US President Ross Hunter. Welcome back, everyone.
Indeed.
Awesome, guys. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Friends, we were talking over our commercial break, and obviously the most obvious benefit of the Lotus Holland is like, okay, you have a clean screen at the end of this. With our customers and with people that you've talked to that have purchased these units, what are some of the things that they talk about that maybe wasn't so obvious at the point of purchase? Like, what are some of the hidden benefits of the machines?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One of the hidden benefits, or maybe the most important hidden benefit, is that in our system, you use a non-volatile chemical. And this chemical, which is typically built by any company, you work with partners as well that produce those chemicals for you. They are less harmful for the environment and less dangerous for the people to work with. So in manual screen cleaning, they use a volatile chemical. They usually the people don't protect themselves enough, and they are constantly inhaling these nasty fumes, which they don't even recognize anymore that they're really hurting themselves. And with our system, you use a non-volatile chemical. You don't smell anything. You've been into print shops, you don't smell anything when the machine is running because there's no fumes coming out. And as that is not an important thing, maybe for the printers, at least it was for, let's say, about 10 years ago, no printer took that into consideration buying this machine. But for me, that was actually the most rewarding part, because I knew that, yes, of course, the money is important. That's without money, we would be out of business. But I jumped 3 feet high whenever I could convince a printer to invest in this equipment, knowing what he just did for his people and also for the environment. So that is probably the biggest hidden benefit of the machine.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize that long-term exposure to that stuff can really, it can do damage to respiratory, nerve damage. I mean, the list goes on. It's never good for, to be around that stuff for long periods of time. Another thing that just blows me away about the Lotus machine is like that chemical that we're talking about now, the non-volatile chemicals, they're all being, it's in a closed loop system, right? So those chemicals are staying in the unit. It's basically being reapplied to a screen, and you're not sending it straight down a drain like manual reclaim.
Yeah, that was a necessity, obviously, to change from volatile chemicals to non-volatile chemicals, which are maybe 2, 3, 4 times as expensive as those products per gallon. You had to continuously reuse that product, which you cannot do with the volatile chemical because the part that cleans is the volatile part. So even if you could reuse it, it still would lose much of its power. But that doesn't happen with a non-volatile chemical. So if you can figure out a system that continuously reuses that chemical, then it makes sense economically to use that. And that's what we do in the Lotus.
Absolutely. And then you and I actually have a story too. We have a story with the print shop here in Tacoma, Washington. And they told us, like, oftentimes they didn't even realize where their bottleneck was. They didn't realize the jobs weren't going to press because they didn't have clean screens or because their darkroom was backed up. Like, these guys had no idea that was necessarily a major backlog or something that prevented jobs from going to press. Right. So, it's just amazing how you can uncover these things by putting in a solution like the Lotus and then say, like, wow, our jobs are getting to press faster now because we have clean, coated, dry screens.
Yeah, it's like Ross said. Maybe now they don't charge anything anymore, but before it was a lump sum. But there was no printer that could do anything about it. He could not ask his customer for more money for cleaning screens. Mm-hmm. So he just had to take that for granted, how much it cost in time or in money wise to clean a screen. And now with this automatic system, we trying to explain the printer, well, hey, listen, even though you cannot maybe charge a customer for that part of the job, but you can save costs. And that is profit also, if you can do that. And you remember as well as I, when we talked to a print shop said, well, I need to do at least 500 screens a day to amortize this machine. And then we showed them also with the cost calculation, which you also present to your customers. Hey, you need about 10 screens is a break-even point. From that point on, you start saving money doing automatic reclaim.
Yeah, and I mean, even a couple of our favorite shops like Family Industries and Stoked on Printing, like, a lot of these shops and many other small shops too, they have their CTS and the auto reclaim within steps of each other, right? So, instead of having somebody operating the darkroom and somebody operating reclaim, now they have one person overseeing the entire process. And, within a couple of minutes, so they're imaging a screen over here, they're reclaiming a screen over here, and they're drying one on this side of the darkroom. I mean, it's amazing to see how efficient this can be, where before you might have temporary labor, you might have a high school kid come in after hours, you might be working on the weekends yourself doing it, and just to be able to make the most out of one person in labor wise, I mean, that just blows people away, and that's a big deciding factor.
Yeah, and imagine the interdependence of those departments, right? Getting a good print on your T-shirt involves having a good screen. But for somebody to prepare the screen right, it has to be cleaned right. It has to be degreased, etc. So now if you have one person doing all these jobs because he has the right equipment, he's depending on himself. So he'll make sure that the screen is clean when it comes out of the machine. And he will take care of the machine also to make sure that it does its job, because he doesn't want to go back to manual cleaning as soon as he has an automatic reclaim.
And as we talk about this, you brought something up a minute ago, which is the break-even point for, like, when is this system right for us? It's a fairly low entry point to say, like, okay, this is now starting to make sense for our business. Is there like a certain time where you would say a company really needs to start looking at this machine? Like, is there a certain time where you say, like, hey, it is time for you to really, really make this your next project in your business?
Yeah, depending on the wages, obviously the break-even point is roughly about 10 of those 23 by 31s. That is, from that point on, with an automatic reclaimer, you start saving money. But let's say you would save about $2 or $3 a screen. You're not saving a big amount per day. The more screens you have, obviously, the shorter your ROI is on the equipment. But from that point on, it's less expensive. But I would say, let's say about 30 screens, 40 screens a day, you should really start considering automating the reclaim. Because what is not in that calculation, which you also present, I received that email also with where you have this calculation. What is not in that calculation is that this person now, instead of handling a power washer, he now can do something else in the meantime as well. He can be productive and clean at the same time.
Right.
So those are two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely. Yeah, and for our listeners out there, just real quick on the kind of ROI side, if you go to our website, rock.us, go to equipment and go under, I think it's reclaiming equipment, you'll see the Lotus Holland Evo Compact there. Click on that. about halfway down the page, we actually have the calculator. So you can input what you're paying your team member per hour, how many screens on average you're doing a day. And that calculator will actually show how much you're saving, not only per screen, but it'll dump that into a monthly calculation to kind of show you what you're going to save per month. And I helped build the calculator. It was really interesting because we were playing with it yesterday, and I just, popped up a number. It was $12 an hour for, someone cleaning screens and about 50 screens a day. And the savings came out to over $1,300 a month just on 50 screens a day, which is more than what the machine would cost on a lease payment. I mean, you could finance it and pay less than what you're saving. So the ROI technically for some of these places could start literally day one, even after the payment on the new machine. So it's kind of cool to see all that math work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing that we, just for our listeners out there, for a shop that is reclaiming, let's call it 30 frames per day. I mean, with the Lotus machine, we're looking at, friends can attest to this, maybe 1 hour of production, maybe a little over an hour of production at 30 frames per hour. And I mean, just think about if you were able to utilize that person for another 7 hours a day. Like what else could they be doing in your business? Or maybe it's the business owner that is reclaiming screens. Now, it's much easier for those guys to block out an hour as opposed to, your most valuable person in the business running a pressure washer because they're behind, So it's truly amazing what that machine is capable of versus the manual in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question. So, since I'm fairly new to the automated setup and screen printing, it seems to me like a machine like this is almost like a prerequisite. If you're going to play at all, like in a real way, you have to have something like this because you're holding back so much of your potential profits and profit margins. Is there any legitimate reason, just to play devil's advocate, like, is there any reason why this would not make sense? To me, like, just again, kind of from the outside looking in, it seems to be a no-brainer. But just to play devil's advocate, is there a reason why this would not make sense for someone? And no is acceptable. Yeah, because I can't think of one. I honestly can't. It seems like it's such an obvious need.
If you allow me to respond to that, it's a very tricky question, Meryl, actually, because the answer is no. There is basically no reason not to invest. But on the other hand, if you put yourself into the position of a screen printer, we're asking them a fairly large investment sum to put down on the table for this machine, and you can do a whole bunch of other things with that money. And the biggest hurdle to overcome for the printer is, I can also buy a piece of equipment for that money. And then I can print twice as much T-shirts, which I can sell. And I cannot sell a clean screen. So that is the biggest hurdle for a printer to overcome, to put that money down. And the funny thing is, the first thing we ever hear when we start up the machine for the first screen is, my God, I should have done this 3 years ago.
Yeah, we hear that a lot on press automation. I mean, all kinds of things, folding automation, press automation, pre-press automation. I think, I look back on when I was a business owner I was a printer, right? So it was tough. It was tough to spend money on machinery. And, I look back to when I had about 13 people working for me. And I remember how hard it was every 2 weeks, right? Payrolls coming up, and had I, this was years ago. So some of this technology I don't think was at the forefront of, right in front of me. But had I known what I know now, I would have automated everything. In fact, I just toured a factory yesterday, not in our space. They manufacture tools. And it was interesting. They've got about 500 people that work there, big factory floor, and everything is a robot. Everything that's making the tools. So you've got one person that's actually running 4 or 5 different robots, and essentially they're just monitoring what's happening. And it was funny because I asked them how they were founded. This is a fairly old company, about 40 years old. And I'm like, what did this look like in the 90s? And it looked like a whole bunch of people doing a whole lot of things. And, they had to start to reevaluate that. And it cost them, this place, millions and millions of dollars to automate, what they have now. But when it cut down in the long run, that ROI, it really makes a difference. So, if you're in doubt, and I tell our listeners that, look at other industries too. Talk to shops, talk to other screen printers, see what's working for them. But look at other industries. I always think it's interesting to explore what are other people doing, because we're manufacturing. We're printing on t-shirts, but still manufacturing. It's the same thing. So look to those companies that you respect, take some tours of some different places, see how other people are running their operations. And I think it helps give you some good peace of mind on, what you need to do for your own business.
For sure.
One more question. I think, Thomas, you had brought this up at the break, and I just wanted to make sure that we cover it. Some things that people that are looking into these machines need to be aware of ahead of time. So we were talking a little bit about like tape. I know friends I've talked to you in the past about like screen opener is like a major no-no if you've got one of these machines, because it locks emulsion into your mesh. Can you guys go through, you and Thomas, some of those things that people should be aware of when they're getting into automated reclamation?
Yeah, I'll kick it off and then let friends kind of weigh in also. Friends and I, we had multiple conversations, like as we were kicking off this product line in the US, we had multiple conversations on what we believe to be the hardest part to convince these screen printers what they have to do in order to get a clean screen. And the number one thing that him and I discussed is like, we have to take an educational standpoint with operators, business owners, and everything, and telling them like, hey, after you take your screen off of the press, like it needs to be in a great condition, de-inked, de-taped, treated properly before putting in your unit if you want a consistent result. Now, if you want to just throw a screen there with a bunch of ink and emulsion that's coated wacky and all of these different factors, if you want to do that, that's fine, but you're not going to get a consistent result. Just like anything else, you really have to have consistency post-press to be able to get a clean screen. And same thing with the types of chemicals that you're using on press. Screen opener can cause issues in reclamation, whether you're doing it manually or automated. So, these are things that people just, I don't know how many times people have said, like, my screen is locked up, I can't get it rinsed, or I can't get it reclaimed. And there are reasons why. You just have to look at all different factors, exposure time, chemicals, humidity, like all of these things are things that are factors that are controllable and can give you a clean screen consistently.
So can we kind of relate it then to cleaning your dishes? If you leave a bunch of dishes on the counter for a couple days, and then you just take them and put them in your dishwasher, you're probably going to get some fairly inconsistent results compared to when you're done eating, wipe off your plate first, put it in the dishwasher. And if you do that with every dish that you put in there, you're going to get a consistently clean dish. Is that a fair analogy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's absolutely a fair analogy. And what Thomas also was saying, I would like to add, it's also important that you use in other steps of your process the right products. We found indeed some screen openers who I didn't know them, but probably they were cheap screen openers who actually locked into the screen. And we also find cheap tapes like boxing tapes. They leave a residue of glue on the screen also. That also happens with manual cleaning. Don't get me wrong. That's not a problem of the automatic cleaning. It happens with manual cleaning as well. But then it's not that noticeable because the person with a high pressure gun just goes over the screen 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and then it's clean. But the machine doesn't think.
Yeah, but then they have no tension.
It just goes on one pass, up and down. Yeah. So that is the machine doesn't do that. It just goes over one time, and then that's it. And then you see the screen coming out. It's not clean. But it's not something that is caused by the machine. It's by the fact that you didn't apply the right ingredients in other process steps.
Yeah, one thing that's driven me crazy, been in hundreds of different shops, and one thing that I've seen is like so many of these people when they're removing ink or they're doing certain things, it's not a uniform process, and then these are the same people that might say like, oh, I'm having to add chemistry more often, or I'm having to do this, or I'm having to clean out my unit twice a month as opposed to once a month, which you told me, and all of that relates back to if you de-ink and you put your ink back into the bucket, you're saving money on ink. If you put a clean screen in your unit, you're saving money on chemistry. So as a business owner, if you want to save money, you need to take those steps in order to be the most profitable business that you can be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, with that, guys, I think I'm going to take us back to.
One thing I would like to add is what I find in all my years now in this business is that one thing that seems to be a real eye opener and always a big question is ghost image. Does my machine remove a ghost image? I'm sorry to disappoint everybody out there. There's no machine out there that removes a ghost image. But what you can do is prevent a ghost image or reduce the risk of a ghost image appearing at all. And what people don't realize that is in manual cleaning, it's very common to collect your screens until you have 10 or 15 and then cleans them at once. So what happens in the print shop? The screen comes off the press. Somebody cleans it off with a cloth and a volatile chemical and then puts the screen on the side until they have about 10 or 15. And then they go to the dark room or to the back room, the dirty room, to clean them. But what they are not realizing is that is the moment where you have just created your ghost image. Because you have rubbed the screen with a volatile chemical. However hard this guy has tried, he wouldn't have managed to get out more than 90, 95, 96% of the ink. And the residue ink now really gets a chance to really get stuck in the image. And that is where you created your ghost image. Now, with an automatic system, with any automatic system, the whole purpose is that even if you have one screen, throw it in the machine immediately. Don't put it on the side. Just scrape out the ink mechanically. No pre-cleaning with a chemical, but just take off the ink, take off the tape, and throw it in the machine. The shorter the time between printing and cleaning, the better your cleaning result and the less risk you have of a ghost image.
Nice. Great tip. Well, I'm going to take us to another commercial break, and when we come back, we will dive into our last segment about automated screen reclamation. We'll be right back.
Beware the Ides of March. Orders placed now till March 15th. Your brand new Lotus Holland automatic screen reclaim system arrives to you with free shipping. Visit rock.us or call 187-ROCKET now. That's 877-674-8669.
Want to welcome everybody back to Rock Shop Talk, your one-stop rock shop where we talk all things screen printing. Today, we are discussing automating your screen reclamation process with Frans Peters of Lotus Holland. I'm Rock US President Ross Hunter. Alongside of us here today, we got our creative producer, Mr. Merrill Capps, and our automated solutions expert, Mr. Thomas Shaw. Welcome back, everyone.
Hey.
Yeah, quick note. We had a great conversation during the break, so we may randomly splice something in to this little part right here because we had a really good talk about kind of buyer hesitation. And Frans had a really fantastic response to that. So if it can't get eloquently just put in, just so the listeners know, we may have a hard splice right now and then come back to the show so you guys can hear that soundbite.
Like it'll come in right now. To me, a machine that I could potentially see an ROI on day one, even if I don't on day one, I could theoretically on day 2 or day 3, relatively within the first month. I don't see a risk there anymore.
It's just money, dude.
But what I'm saying, like, if you're gonna make money tomorrow on it, did you really spend anything?
No, I mean, I think what's interesting with equipment like this is I I think, when this stuff was all introduced to the market years ago, and there's been a lot of different types of automation introduced, it starts like any piece of technology or something else that's not in our industry that's introduced, and it's deemed as almost like couture, like something that's unneeded, but is a luxury. Instead of a necessity, it's viewed as a luxurious product. So it's like you putting a sauna in your house, right? We can all go buy a sauna. There's major health benefits. You're going to get a return on investment, but it's a luxury. And I think that a lot of folks see this equipment as the same thing. And that's why we put ROI calculators and have the conversations like Thomas and friends are having right now.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way to get people to know. Once they get it, to Friend's point, every time we put in a machine like this, so it literally is the same thing. I wish I would have done this years ago. I mean, you hear that just over and over and over again.
Cool.
So people just need to listen.
Right.
Like we're not liars. We're being honest.
So Merrill, what I like about your question is when we built this machine, and we didn't address that, but our machine is the lowest in price because we kept it simple. Well, we had the person who operates the machine in mind. So don't give him PLCs, don't give him touchscreens, don't give him programs, etc. Keep it simple. But that resulted in a system that's being the lowest price. When I figured that out, that we had the lowest price, and we had a non-volatile chemical, so the safest machine in the world, I thought, well, sit back and relax and wait till the orders come flying across the email, right? Well, that didn't happen. Right. And I figured out pretty soon that my biggest competitor is not a Zentner machine or an M&R machine or whatever kind of machine. My biggest competitor is the brain of the printer getting the cross from the step of doing manual cleaning to automatic cleaning.
Right.
That is my biggest competitor because like Ross is saying, there's always a reason not to spend this money. Hey, I want to keep it for my printer. I hear that a lot. No, I'm going to buy a print machine first. Okay, you do that. Then he bought a print machine and he says, yeah, now I have no money anymore because I bought a print machine. And then he has a little money and says, yeah, but I'm going to save my money because what if my print machine breaks down? So he's always postponing. And then at some point of time, it settles in that what I'm saying is, if you do 20 screens a day, you're throwing out money out of the window every day. And that just takes a while for the printer to grasp that.
And now we're back.
Perfect. Okay, we're back.
We're back.
Love it. Cool, Merrill. Do you want to kind of?
I'll take a couple questions for friends. So friends, you've been making some fantastic tips for the Lotus that we've been sharing online. And definitely, if you haven't seen it yet, please check those out on Instagram, Facebook, all those, LinkedIn, etc. Really great, just really quick, actionable tips to maximize the efficiency of your machine. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. Please keep doing that. We'll definitely keep sending it to the audience and make sure that they're informed. But for those who haven't yet seen it, could you just run through maybe top 5 things or 3 to 5 things that you recommend that owners do or current owners do with their Lotus Holland to make sure that everything's in optimal order?
Sure. First of all, I want to start off with we were very happy to do these videos for you because since we've been on board with Rock and Ryanette before, you're just doing an amazing job with especially with the start of screenprinting.org. Screen printing was such a concealed industry where everybody kept this information to himself, and you guys, you just actually open it up. You just made it into a community, and that fits us like a glove. Because, like I said, I think anybody being a screen printer should be really proud of himself, because it's a real profession with a lot of variables to take into consideration, and it's a beautiful product. And I think you're doing an amazing job for spreading information and sharing information and knowledge in that field.
I appreciate that. And we're honored to share the content that is going to help people so that your product and services like really fit in line with that.
Yeah, I wish we had a community like that in Europe. I think it's lacking in Europe that we have this kind of community where screen printing rocks, and that is
start it, and we'll support it.
We will rock you. How does that sound?
Right.
We will rock EU.
Right.
We will rock EU.
That's right.
All right. What was the question? Oh yeah, the question was what was the tech tips about?
Yeah.
We made some pretty hands-on tips about how to maintain your machine. Ross made the analogy with a dishwasher. That applies to this machine as well. First of all, what you feed the machine is already 50% of what you can expect as a result. But also you have to devote some of the time that you saved by cleaning automatic instead of manually back to the machine to keep it in shape. It gets very, very dirty on the inside. And that is what it's there for, right? But you need to get rid of that dirt and add your chemicals in the right time to keep a constant level. Sure, when we install a machine, the first day, the screens come out beautiful and nice. Everything is fresh and shiny and new. But that's not what we're aiming at. We're aiming at that in 5 years and in 10 years, the screens are still as clean as on day one. And that can be achieved. If the printer can address attention to the system itself in maintaining it, then he will achieve that. And that is what these tech tips were about.
Fantastic. And if you have any photos of the inside of the machine that is dirty before it's cleaned out, if you can send that to me, I would love to share it in the video version of this episode, because I want viewers, when it comes out on video, to see the mess that will not occur in their shop. Will keep contained in that machine, so they don't have to worry about cleaning up that, which I can only imagine the process of trying to eliminate that mess from your wall or floor.
I'm thinking about a small anecdote now. I hope he's not mad with me, but the first machine we sold in the US was to Printed Threads, Brett Bowden.
Yeah.
And I was in the US and I got a call from him and he said, my machine is down. There's something wrong. And I went over there and I opened the tank. Merrill, you won't believe it. I have pictures of that. The slum in the first tank was so thick, I could just poke a stick in there and it would just stand up straight like that in the thick sludge.
Wow.
and there was no liquid coming out of the spray bars, right? So I asked him, what do you expect? And again, it's funny that Ross said that before. I used the analogy as well. If your dishwasher looks like that, do you expect your plate to be clean? And then he said, well, I guess not. But yeah, somehow it has to be an eye opener for somebody to even for Brett, who obviously has a lot of knowledge about.
I'm really glad you brought that story up, because we just.
So I hope he's not mad with me now.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think he would. He would be, but we just shared a video just this week of him essentially going through his version of the Lotus Tech Tip, and is it the same machine?
Yeah,
it is.
That is that machine,
and it's clean now.
Yeah, it's clean.
He's kept it clean ever since. I remember that trip, actually. I just remember hearing about it, and it helped us too, because it was, you bring some new technology into the United States. We're having to learn, you're learning, our clients here are learning, and, things are different in Europe. I've been to a lot of shops in Europe, and, it's different. There is a different work methodology. There's, it's just a different environment. And so, we're having to learn, and that was a really good time. But that is the same machine, Merrill. And you saw amazing. How beautiful.
If it went from being able to stand a stick in it to looking how it does now, that's amazing. So definitely check that video out and see what the first Lotus owner in America has been using for 7 years, and it looks amazing.
And I do have something to add to that. I mean, a lot of our people that are looking at these machines, they say like, hey, I don't want to talk to somebody who just got the machine. I want to talk to somebody who's had it for 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And and basically when these machines are maintained, like you said, I mean, that machine, you can even see in the video, we're looking at a 5 or 6 year old machine, maybe even older, that is still in day-to-day operations and still pumping out clean screens for what I would consider a large shop. And then in addition to that,
what you could ask, what I missed maybe, what is probably also one of the big attributes is ask Brett to say something about maintenance costs and how much spare parts he has bought over the years. If he has spent, I'm going to put a figure on the table. If he spent more than $300 a year on spare parts, it's probably a lot in these 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
And friends, I will mention this, and I will have like the people that are interested in these units and are looking at purchasing them. One thing to mention is that Friends and I have worked together, and Friends in Rock US, to come up with an extended service program. And we can kind of talk more about that. I would recommend, if you guys are looking at the unit, ask your sales rep about it, have conversations with Friends and see what the extended service program looks like. We're offering that, and Friends can elaborate, but I think we're looking at maybe, up to 10 years of coverage or 10 years of service coverage. And I encourage, ask other manufacturers if they do the same thing. And I would say that they do not.
Gosh, this has been amazing. Friends, do you have any final thoughts? I definitely want to give you the chance to say anything else that you would like to say. And then follow up to that is give you the opportunity to share with our listeners how people can follow you online outside of what we publish through Rock US and any other info on Lotus Holland.
Yeah. I know. To what Thomas just said. Talk to you guys or to us about that extended service and warranty program. It's a warranty program that extends the warranty on the machine for 10 years. So we back up what we do. And we figured out we're not selling a machine. We're selling a clean screen. That is what we're selling. The printer couldn't care less what the machine looks like, as long as it cleans my screens. And that is what we're trying to offer by maintaining the machine for you, by training the operator. We can guarantee that the screens will be clean for 10 years. And with our support, if you do the job right in maintaining the machine, then you will have 0 breakdowns, and your cost of maintenance is for parts is about $300 a year. That's what we're trying to achieve. Yeah. So that's what we back up.
That is quite as impressive claim. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's also why you guys don't see these machines on the used market anywhere. Mm-hmm. People buy them and they keep them. I mean, that to me is the biggest testament. We've had the machines in the US for quite a few years now, and we're the only place you can get them. And there's a lot out there, but people are not getting rid of these machines. I mean, they're keeping them, they're working. And I mean, again, back to Brett, I mean, it's a true testament, if you keep it clean, it's gonna keep working for you. Friends, where can people find Lotus Holland online? Your website, your Instagram or Facebook handles?
Yeah, we have our website for the standard information about the equipment, also other equipment that we have, specialized reclaiming systems for specialized inks, difficult inks, but also about the developer. And Illuminator is on there, and we're on all the social networks: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can find us anywhere.
Just type in Lotus Holland.
Yeah,
type in Lotus Holland, and we'll pop up.
And I love the name Lotus. That's it couldn't be more appropriate for the machine. Well done.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, we want to wrap today up. I want to thank Friends again for joining us. Thank Thomas and Meryl for joining us today.
Thank you.
Tune in the next couple weeks for our next episode, and continue to press onward.
And remember, till the Ides of March 15th, your last opportunity to get free shipping with the Lotus Holland.
Get free shipping.
Quite a big savings.
And Thomas is standing by to help you out. So hit us up. Let us know how we can help. And we're excited to be there for you. Again, from all us here at 20 Rock Studios, rock on.
Press onward.
Big thanks to Friends Peters for joining us today.
As always, thank you for spending time with us this week. Tune in at your convenience wherever you listen to your podcast by searching Rock Shop Talk. Our next episode will feature chemistry and screen printing. If you'd like to request to be on the show, please visit rock.us/rockshoptalk. If you found today's episode helpful, please recommend it to a friend who you think may find it helpful as well. Please like, share, and subscribe on social media. Until next time, rockers, press onward.